Okay, so today's lesson is Chapter 2, Lesson 3. I'm going to skip Lesson 2 and go to Lesson 3, and then we're going to come back to Lesson 2 after Lesson 3. This is going to be starting on page 109. Okay, so open up your folders to page 109 and follow along. All right, so this is going to be percents and decimals. The main essential question that we've been asking is, when is it better to use a fraction, a decimal, or a percent? Since we have not really defined all three of those things, let's not worry about that. By the time we're done with about Lesson 4, we should be able to really be able to grasp ourselves and answer that question. Right now, the lesson essential question is, what is the relationship between percents and decimals? This is the lesson essential question that is in the guided practice, which I will answer this at some point in time during the video, and I will expect you to have it into your answers in the guided practice. Okay. Real world link, we're going to start with school. A recent survey tells the favorite subject of students at Martin Middle School. Math is 28%, art is 16%, science is 21%, English is 13%, social studies is 15%, and others is 7%. Of course, math is number one because, well, math is the greatest subject of all time. Anyway, all right, what they're going to ask you to do is they want to ask you, write a fraction with a denominator of 100 to represent the percent of each subject. So you should be able to just write in whatever the percent is without the percent sign, because a percent is a ratio of a number compared to 100. Okay, so all you need to do is just write down whatever the percent number is without the percent sign. So math would be 28. Please, again, follow along on in your math folder and be filling this out as we go along. Okay, if you want to pause it and fill in these numbers to see if you understand it, please do. Okay, science is 21, art is 16, social studies is 15, English is 13, and others 7. Okay, now it says, write each fraction from exercise 1 as a decimal. Now we should know how to do this, right? We've done this. This is what our first lesson was all about, right? 28 over 100 is the same thing as 0.28 or 28 hundredths. Okay, it's important that we actually say that right now for a little bit. Okay, so science would be, 21 hundredths. Art would be 16 hundredths. I mean, it even says it, right? Social studies is 15 hundredths. English is 13 hundredths. Now, I wrote this wrong. No, it's 7%. Now, you got to be careful with the 7%. When you write it, it is 7 hundredths. So when you write 7 hundredths, recognize that it has to be 0.07. The 7 needs to be in the hundredths place, because right here it is telling us that. Right here it's telling us that that 7 needs to be in the hundredths place, not in the tens place, in the hundredths place. So please recognize that. Please make a conscious effort to recognize what I just did there. Okay? Now it says, look back at exercise 2, compare the decimals to the percents, and explain how to write a percent as a decimal. Okay? We should be able to do that pretty easy. Okay? We're writing a percent as a decimal because everything is being compared to, well, 100. You are comparing numbers to 100. Because look, everything here is compared to 100. Even the stuff off the board that you really can't see, I'll bring it back under so you can see, that everything is being compared to 100. So we're comparing numbers here. We're comparing, we'll say numbers to 100. Okay, now if we're very careful and we recognize this, okay, this total here, right here, should equal 100 because we're comparing it to 100, right? So if you take 28 plus 21 plus 16 plus 15 plus 13 plus 7, it should equal 100. Okay? 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 plus 5 is 20. 20 plus 3 is 23. 23 plus 7 is 30. 0, carry the 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Okay? Because recognize that up here, they gave us percents. right? This ain't the actual number of people up here. This is the percentage, okay? And everything is being compared to, if you check it out, to 100. So we're comparing numbers to 100, even though all these percents came up to 100, and it was purposely done like that. We don't know the actual number of people who voted. We don't know if there's only 28 people who voted. Heck, there could have been only 12 people voted the whole way. I mean, obviously there wasn't. Had to be more because the percents are kind of funny. But, you know, you really could have, there's not just 100 people voting. All right, I just want to make you recognize that they are comparing, everything here is being compared to 100. Okay. Okay, so the word, a percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. Something I just talked about, okay? Example, 45% is 45 out of 100. Here they did a little model. These are 100 squares here. Okay, they're at 100 squares, little squares. Right? Now, I don't expect you to write that down in your book because you're not going to have this page in here. I had to put this in here because this is from lesson 2, and I needed to put this in here because we didn't do lesson 2 first. I didn't like the order. Okay, I like this order better, so I switched a little bit. So this isn't in your book. So this you're just going to have to kind of read. And then they got this little bar diagram down here that says 0 to 100%, and you can see where 45 is. If you'll notice that each bar, each little square here is 10%, right? That's 10%. So you got 10 of these little boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good. All right, let's push on. Now this is in your book. All right, to write percents as decimals. To write a percent as a decimal, divide by 100 and remove the percent sign. Now, the way I wrote it in your notes is a little different than this. I wanted you to know what's actually happening, but in your notes, all I did is to write a percent as a decimal, you move the decimal point 2 places to the left and remove the percent sign. Okay, that's how we did it. Okay, and that's how I'll expect you to do it. Look at the example, 48%. The decimal is here. Okay, the decimal is right there. And all percent signs, now, you're not going to see it here, but I want you to recognize, well, let's go back. Percents can have a decimal in it. It's just that the decimal has been moved 2 places to the right initially. To change it back to a decimal, you remove it back to the left 2 times. Okay, I'm sorry if I confused you there, but let me repeat how to change a decimal to a percent. I mean, to change a percent to a decimal, you move the decimal 2 places to the left. To change a percent to a decimal, you move the decimal point 2 places to the left. This is just like dividing by 100. Okay? If you want to try it, try it. Take 48 and divide it by 100. It'll move the decimal point over 2 places. Okay, that's all that it's doing. All right. Now, it says here, another way to write a fraction as a decimal is to write a percent as a fraction and then write the fraction as a decimal. I don't like that right now, so I'm going to just scribble through that. I don't want it to confuse you, so I'm just going to scribble through that right now. All right. All right, so now we're talking about writing percents as decimals. There's 2 ways of doing it, right? Method 1. Is write the percent as a fraction. Okay, you take 56, you put 56 over 100, and then turn it into a decimal after that. I think that's a little monotonous. I think all you really need to do is to do this. Move the decimal point 2 places to the left. This is how I will be doing it. Okay, this is the method I choose. I don't care which method that you want. And remember, what's happening here on method 1, remember this, what's a fraction? An unsolved division problem. That says 56 divided by 100. When you divide 56 by 100, it turns into 56 hundredths. We talked about this in the first lesson, okay? But I would just be moving the decimal point 2 places to the left so that there's not a whole lot going on. It'll be a lot easier to understand, all right? As you can see here, they wrote it as a fraction, and then they turned it into a decimal, which I'm okay with. I like this one. This is the way I would do it, okay? See how 2% turns into 0.02. 8% turns into 0.08. It is very, very important that you recognize to put that 0 there. You have to annex a 0 in empty spaces, right? Because what they do here at this 2%, right? The percent's there. I mean the decimal's there. They move it over 2 spaces. that empty space annexes a 0. Okay, you got to put a 0 there. That's just the way it works. Okay, let's try these. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and see if you can try these three? They should not be very hard. Okay, go ahead and pause. All right. Now remember, I'm doing method 2, which at 32%, there's a decimal right here. I'm going to move the decimal over 2 spaces, and this is equal to 0.32. That's 32 hundredths. Okay? That's the way you say it. It's 32 hundredths. Okay? Again, 6%. I have a decimal right here. Okay? If there's no decimal shown, it's at the very end. Okay? You move the decimal over 2 spaces to the left, and then you got 0.06, or 6 hundredths. It's important that we say that. Okay, again, 93%. Put the decimal there. Okay, now I'm going to move the decimal over 2 spaces. That's going to become 93 hundredths. Okay, this lesson should not take you very long. All right, this is very easy, very, very simple. Okay, now we're going to write decimals as percents. You can't imagine what that's going to do, right? Oh my goodness. To write a decimal as percent, multiply by 100 and add a percent sign. This is the same as moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to worry about multiplying by 100. Okay? We're just going to move that decimal point 2 places to the right and then add a percent sign. That's what they do here. Okay? If you look at the example, they take 36 hundredths. They move the decimal sign 2 places to the right, and they add a percent sign, making it 36%. Okay? Not hard. This should not take you very long. This should be a very easy thing for you to do. Okay? Another way to write a decimal as a percent is to write the decimal as a fraction with a denominator of 100, then write the fraction as a percent. I don't like that. There's a lot of extra work there. Okay? I just think there's a lot of extra work. Okay? But the reason why I'm showing it to you is because they do it in the book, and when you see it in the book, I don't want you to freak out. Okay? So you write 38 hundredths as a percent. Method 1. Write the decimal as a percent. Take 0.38, put 38 hundredths as a fraction, and then turn it into a percent. Just add a percent sign, right? No big deal. All right? Then you got this. Move the decimal point. That's what I do, okay? I move the decimal point 2 places to the right, then add a percent sign. Pow! Done. Now it says stop and reflect. Reflect. Why does it help to write a decimal as a fraction with a denominator of 100% when writing decimals as a percent? I don't really know, okay? I can't really see a use in it in my book, okay? But if you can see a use in it, please do it. I don't really like it. Maybe I should just get rid of that. I'll keep it in there, okay? I thought it said something else when I was putting that in there. I don't really like that, so ignore that. I'm gonna. All right, write 0.2, write 2/10 as a percent. Now you got to be careful here. Okay, you move the decimal over. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to do it in my method. Right? You got 2/10. You got to change that to percent sign. So we move the decimal over 2 places to the right. Okay, it puts it there, and we add a percent sign. Okay, so now this is 20%. Okay, 2/10 is 20%. This would be the reason why maybe you would want to write a decimal as a fraction with a denominator of 100. That would be the reason why right here. This reason right here. Okay? That would be a good reason. Because see, you write 2/10 as a fraction, but really, when you do decimals, percents have to be compared to 100, never 10, only to 100. So this would be the reason why that you would want to, and I guess that's the reason why I put that in here. Okay, moving on. Let's try these. This should not be hard. Go ahead and pause the video and try these three. This should not cause you any problems. Give you a second. 1. Okay. All right. So we want to change this decimal as a percent. All right. I got 0.47. I'm going to move the decimal over 2 spaces and add a percent sign. So this is equivalent to 47%. Walking over to E, you got 0.70 or 73 hundredths, right? Move the decimal over 2 places, add a percent sign, so that turns into 73%. Here, let me exaggerate the decimal sign, okay? Now, this one's the tricky one. Recognize this is 5/10, right? So you got 0.5 You got to move the decimal sign over 2 places and add a percent sign. So this is 50%. Don't mess that up, guys. You're going to mess that one up. So please pay attention when it's 5/10, okay? Because remember, percents are numbers being compared to 100. Remember that. They got to be compared to 100, okay? So we got this. Here, let me add this. You're not supposed to be looking down there already. All right. United States produces more corn than any other country, producing more than any other country, producing 0.4 of the total crops, corn crops, or 4/10 of the total corn crops. Right? 4/10 as a percent. Okay. Look, you need to annex the 0 because I wouldn't annex the 0 first. Okay. I would move the decimal over and then annex the 0. Okay. All right. And then you simplify by removing, you multiply by 100 or moving the decimal over 2 places to the right, okay, and then adding a percent sign, and you make it 40%. Beautiful. All right. You want to check? This is how you check it. Put 4/10 over. So you want to check here. It's 4. Remember, this is 4/10, right? Right. So you got to get this over 100. That's what your goal is. Got to multiply this by 10. So you got to multiply 4 by 10. That equals 40, which equals 40%. Okay. All right. Start on the guided practice. Do it all. Come up here and check your answers. If you get the answers 100%, okay, you can start on the extra practice. The extra practice is page 115 and 116, the odds only. Okay? All right. This lesson should not take you the whole day. So we need to get our pacing. We have to start learning to pace ourselves a little bit, which is something I'll talk about in class. Okay, thank you.